Qin Wei frowns and quietly says, I know you're thinking of junior sister, but you were too impulsive this time. In my opinion, someone like Gu Chang'e is more terrifying than any magic heir. Ziyang answers, senior brother, I know he's not simple, but... Before he finished speaking, Qin Wei interrupted him, saying, the inheritors of demonic arts at least won't be like him, waving a flag of justice while swinging a blade everywhere, finding excuses to oppress the weak. His evil is hidden beneath his hypocritical mask. After hearing this, Ziyang coughed and rapidly asked, so what should we do? We can't just watch our junior sister jump into the fire, right? With your strength, senior brother, you can't defeat him. Qin Wei stretched out his hand and replied, defeating him might not be easy, but don't rush. He continued, I've heard there's a reincarnation lake in immortal heaven, which can make one recall past lives. If we can help junior sister regain her memories, things will be much easier. Then, Qin Wei patted Ziyang on the shoulder and said firmly, I'll leave for immortal heaven immediately. I'll be back in a month at most. You take care and avoid further conflict with him. Ziyang immediately replied, all right, I'll listen to senior brother. After that, Qin Wei turned into a streak of blue light and flew away, while Ziyang sat on a large stone, bruised all over. He supported his head with his hand and muttered softly, Gu Chang'e, once my celestial eye recovers, with senior brother's help, will definitely erase today's shame. Meanwhile, Gu Xian'er was gazing up at the bright blue sky when suddenly a purple light flashed by. She smiled with satisfaction. And thought, I didn't expect a greedy person like him to eventually step forward for me. He really has changed. Gu Chang'e was still flying in the sky, surrounded by streaks of purple light. His eyes glowed fiercely as he gazed at the palm of his hand wrapped in purple light, and said with satisfaction, using the reincarnation Dao fruit to replicate the primordial purple energy, though rushed, it's enough to pass for real. Ziyang, I've prepared your script. A streak of blue light flashed, and many people were walking forward. The crowd around them murmured, the trial has begun. So many people, I wonder what's in store for us. That's a teleportation array, leading to the trial grounds. This is exciting. Meanwhile, Gu Chang'e and Su Qinglan were also walking forward when a voice rang out, according to the rules from previous years, I wonder which young hero will lead the team this time. Qing Feng and Qing Xiaoyi saw Gu Chang'e and immediately lowered their heads in respect, saying, greetings, young Master Chang'e. Gu Chang'e responded, long time no see, how are you? Are you getting used to things here? Qing Xiaoyi's cheeks reddened as she hesitantly replied, Respected young Master Chang'e, I'm already quite used to it. Gu Chang'e nodded slightly and said, it seems you two siblings have gained something during this time. Even your cultivation has improved quite a bit. Qing Feng replied, that's all thanks to my sister. Without her, with my talent, I wouldn't have the fortune to cultivate this far. Then, Gu Chang'e turned to leave, saying, it's not like that. Everyone has their own opportunities, this is your karmic connection. Qing Feng lowered his head and said, yes. While Qing Xiaoyi happily said, young Master Chang'e, take care. Su Qinglan glanced at Qing Feng and Qing Xiaoyi, thinking to herself, that delicate figure. She looked up excitedly and said, brother, look. Young Master Chang'e still remembers me. Qing Feng helplessly said, all right, I know. Keep your voice down. You're now a disciple highly valued by the elders, your future is limitless, so mind your image. Suddenly, a voice rang out, make way, Lord. Lord Gua is here. The crowd around them immediately began discussing, look. Lord Gua, that monster, has arrived. He must be the strongest among the top 10, right? In the Talent Academy, he's a 6-time internal competition champion. I heard Lord Ziyang was once the top in the upper realms, but even he couldn't beat him. Lord Guo walked slowly, fists clenched and an imposing aura around him. Someone muttered to themselves, I really want to know who is stronger, him or young Master Chang'e. In the next moment, Lord Guo looked at Gu Chang'e, thinking to himself, Chongqing Gu family, Gu Chang'e. As if sensing someone was watching him, Gu Chang'e slightly turned his head, looking behind him and thinking, interesting, this is the first time I've been scrutinized like this, as if I'm prey. Lord Guo walked up to Gu Chang'e, his heart filled with joy, thinking, that's right, you're worthy of being my only opponent. Gu Chang'e, however, showed a sinister smile, thinking to himself, where did this bumpkin come from? Suddenly, 3 elders flew in, shouting, silence. One elder held a small box and announced, this trial involves the Silent Heaven. Traces of the Silent Kingdom have been found in the Silent Heaven region. It seems the Silent Emperor is about to be born. Many ancient kingdoms and powers have been attacked, even the creatures protected by the Academy haven't been spared. Many kingdoms have already been conquered. Therefore, according to the rankings, each disciple will lead teams to various ancient kingdoms to quell the conflicts. The remaining positions will be filled by disciples ranked lower, and others can freely choose to join an approved team. After speaking, the elder raised the box in his hand and continued, now, let's begin the draw. The elder shouted again, then, starting with Gu Chang'e, you go first. Upon hearing this, Gu Chang'e pointed to himself. Then, Gu Chang'e took a token, slowly unfolded it, and found that it said, first. At the same time, Jiang Chuchu pulled out her sign and angrily said, damn. Gu Chang'e saw this scene. From a distance, walked up to Jiang Chuchu, and said with a smile, long time no see, Saintess Chuchu. Yu Mingkong, on the other side, also saw the two of them standing together. Prince Qin walked up to Yu Mingkong happily and said, oh. Princess Mingkong, what a coincidence, we are in the same group. She then asked, the Saintess of the Human Ancestor Hall, Prince Qin. The next moment, Prince Qin linked his arm with Yu Mingkong's and patted her shoulder, responding, that's right, it doesn't matter if I'm not in the same group as Brother Gu, I will take care of you for him. Were you worried that Brother Gu would be taken away by my friend? Hearing this, Yu Mingkong immediately shook off Prince Qin's hand and replied, you think too much. She then turned and walked away, continuing, I was just worried about Saintess Chuchu's safety, after all, my husband will definitely not be at a disadvantage. Prince Qin hesitated and said, huh. You also know that Brother Gu isn't a good person, and you're still so kind. Meanwhile, Lu Guanwangshan thought, it's a pity, I'm in the same group as a former subordinate I defeated. Meanwhile, standing behind him, Jian Chang was calculating in his mind, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Looks like I'll have to cross paths with Zhang Tianjun this time, no matter what, he's one of the few people not afraid of Gu Chang'e. Zhang covered his nose and thought, luckily, I didn't get assigned to the same group as Gu Chang'e. Then, an elder raised his hand and loudly shouted, all right, since there are not enough disciples in the rankings, the Academy has decided to promote one of the most capable disciples as the captain. He continued, Tian'er, you must perform well. Gu Tian'er was surprised when she heard this, pointing at herself and saying, ah. Me. Everyone looked at Gu Tian'er and murmured, what? This girl looks so ordinary, why should she be the captain? She's from the Gu family, the younger sister of Gu Chang'e, and seems to be the disciple of the Grand Elder. Oh. So she's well connected, definitely. Avoid her, I have a feeling we're in trouble. She thought to herself, it's not that exaggerated, right? I'm not weak either. An elder reminded, all right, quiet down, other disciples, hurry up and form your teams, prepare to depart. A large gate appeared with a beam of blue light. Last time, when they attacked the Zhuke ancient kingdom, they relied on Prince Qin to find the origin of the absolute sound. This time, they depend on this woman again. Gu Chang'e glanced at Jiang Chuchu, who was standing with her arms crossed, and the people behind them thought to themselves, to follow young Master Chang'e's actions, we must find a way to approach him. A certain woman inwardly cursed, this jerk has no sense of responsibility. Everyone in the Xuanwu ancient kingdom expedition team had different thoughts in their hearts. Someone cursed, a bunch of useless people. Another person wondered, strange, why hasn't old Mo looked for me recently? At my peak, I wasn't even a match for Lu Guanwang. I wonder if he has already subdued Gu Chang'e. The members of the Baihu Ancient Kingdom expedition team lined up. Prince Qin thought, so tired, someone really is fortunate. People around them commented, they just arrived today, and Princess Mingkong is also in the top 10. Yeah, Princess Mingkong is really humble. Yu Mingkong frowned as someone bumped into her. She immediately spoke up, Saintess, please be more respectful. The woman who bumped into her laughed and said, sorry, Saintess Chu Chu, I'm just used to it. Yu Mingkong thought to herself. She's clearly a woman, why is she so reckless? So impolite, is this the education from the human ancestor hall? In the Red Wolf Ancient Kingdom expedition team, the captain thought, did that trash Jian Chang sneak in? Jian Yu glanced at him and thought, no matter where Gu Chang'e goes, he shines so brightly. If only my brother could be half as excellent. In the Qinglong Ancient Kingdom expedition team, Gu Tian'er was looking around for something. She asked, what's going on? Only 2 people. Am I really that unreliable? A nearby young girl murmured to herself, if it weren't for Elder Lei wanting us to maximize our training effectiveness, I'd also want to join Gu Chang'e's team. Gu Tian'er crossed her arms and sighed, then comforted herself, forget it, think of it from another angle, at least there are still 2 people. A woman came over to Gu Tian'er and said, let's team up. She asked, are you the immortal empress among the top 10? The other nodded in confirmation. Gu Chang'e stood respectfully in front of Elder Lei. Elder Lei spoke, young friend Chang'e, I have something I would like your help with. Qing Xiaoyi is a disciple we've been focusing on cultivating, and since you are so close with her, so. He immediately replied. Rest assured, Elder, Qing Xiaoyi and I are fated, and if there's an opportunity, I will definitely take good care of her. Qing Xiaoyi saw this scene and said, brother, look, young Master Chang'e is so good, he's willing to care for others. Qing Feng replied, don't think too much, young Master Chang'e is doing this because of Miss Tian'er. Upon hearing this, Gu Tian'er immediately said, I don't need him to meddle in my affairs. In the martial arts field, there was much discussion. The team from the True Immortal Academy's expedition said, look over there, are we almost at those ancient kingdoms? No wonder it's the True Immortal Academy. The sails on the giant ship were hoisted high. Set sail. The giant ship sped through the silent night sky. In a room, Gu Chang'e stood with his back to Qingxia, listening to her say, young master, our goal is the Zhuke Ancient Kingdom. Currently, many areas in the eastern part of the Zhuke Ancient Kingdom have been occupied, and there have been heavy casualties among the cultivators. Qingxia took a step closer to him. He said, Qingxia, your cultivation has improved rapidly recently. She replied. The True Immortal Academy is indeed a great place for cultivation, and thanks to the elder's guidance. Chang'e placed his hand on Qing'e's cheek and said, you've grown so much since we first met. Above her head, a flower icon in the number 7200 appeared. He continued, I'm sure your father, far away in the lower realms Taixian Holy Land, would be pleased to know this. She replied, thanks to you, my lord, bringing me to the upper realm. Qing'e has had the chance to broaden her horizons and grow to where she is today. Without you, I would still be a frog at the bottom of a well, with no hope of joining the True Immortal Academy. Chang'e turned and laughed, saying, by the way, how's your investigation into the 7 heavenly artifacts going? Qing'e began reporting, I've found some clues. If I'm not mistaken, the siblings Qin Feng and Qin Xiaoyi are probably the ones holding the heavenly artifacts. Chang'e placed his hand on the windowsill and replied, oh. Then it must be in that young man Qingfeng's hands. After all, the immortal demon body doesn't require external assistance. He suddenly pushed open the window. Qing'e asked, that's possible, because the older brother Qing Xiaoyi isn't simple. Do you need me to? Before she could finish, Chang'e interrupted, no need. His gaze shifted far off, and he calmly said, I will make him hand it over voluntarily. In a room, a hand bound in shackles tightly grasped an iron chain, the hand covered in purple and blue bruises. Next, it was a scene of Chang'e gently lifting Princess Minkong's hair. She suddenly spat out blood, her entire body collapsing backward, nearly fainting, as the surrounding energy from her cultivation still enveloped her. She cursed, damn it. Chang'e, damn it. A hand reached out to steady her waist. Chang'e appeared, holding her in his arms and scolding, you've gone astray in your cultivation. Why curse me? Hearing this, she widened her eyes in shock and couldn't speak. After regaining herself, Susu blushed and shouted angrily, what are you doing? Chang'e glanced at her and replied, I'm here to tell you, when we reach the Zhuge ancient kingdom, help me find the location where the absolute disaster erupted. Susu lay in Chang'e's arms, her face still flushed. She said, why should I help you? I will never aid in evil deeds, stop dreaming. He replied, from the day you didn't dare reveal my identity, you've already been helping me do bad things. And don't forget, human ancestor has already passed. Now, only I can completely resolve the absolute disaster. If you don't cooperate, think about how that disaster will spread. As the heir of the human ancestor temple, won't you feel guilty? Susu slightly turned her head in thought, inwardly cursing, this despicable person. What methods did he use? But since he wants to stop the absolute calamity, he should still have some good intentions. Chang'e continued holding her and asked, well, have you thought it through? Susu pushed against his chest with her hand and replied, I understand. But I have one condition. He looked at her gently and softly said, oh. Susu seemed to avoid Chang'e's gaze and said, Chang'e, can you treat me better in the future? Chang'e immediately tossed her to the ground, not showing the slightest compassion, and said, impossible. Susu's eyes reddened, and she angrily cursed, Chang'e, why are you so heartless? He didn't let her continue and immediately bent down to kiss her soft lips, still stained with blood. In the royal palace of the Zhuge ancient kingdom, thick black smoke filled the surroundings. Inside the palace, the person seated on the throne sighed. The ministers in 2 rows stood respectfully. One official reported respectfully, Your Majesty, the geniuses from the True Immortal Academy are about to arrive. There's no need to worry too much, we are saved. Si Wujie said, that's just a trial from the True Immortal Academy. Their purpose is merely to train disciples, and our lives and deaths don't matter. He placed a hand on his forehead and continued, the Zhuge ancient kingdom has been passed down for millions of years. But it will eventually be destroyed by my hands. The ministers quickly warned, Your Majesty, please be cautious with your words. Wujie continued, fortunately, Howard isn't here. He doesn't have to be buried with this old man. A man rushed into the palace and loudly reported, Your Majesty, the 3rd prince has returned. He asked in shock, what? How is back? The 3 of them had just returned to the palace and were walking toward the main hall. Wang Zhao looked around and said, Senior brother, is this your hometown? It's so weak, there's not even a supreme being here. See how responded. A son doesn't despise his mother's poverty, a dog doesn't despise its home's poverty, and a gentleman doesn't forget his roots. Now that the Zhuge ancient kingdom is facing a great calamity, it's time for my abilities to be of use. He smiled, yes, senior brother is right. I just didn't expect that in this remote place, where fortune is continuously declining, someone like senior brother could still be nurtured. Si Hao looked into the distance and said, before coming, I already told you not to be too surprised. After all, my family background isn't prominent. When the Zhuge ancient kingdom was in dire straits, my father could still provide me with abundant cultivation resources. Because of this, I decided to travel around the world. Si Hao recalled the past as Wujie stretched his arms toward him. Wang Zhao laughed loudly, oh. I've never heard you mention your father, senior brother. Then he said, Your father must not be an ordinary person. See how reminded, so, when we see my father later, don't try to show off.